All right, the time is 5:01 p.m. and I am calling the May 21st, 2025 meeting to order. First, Clerk Milner, could you please take attendance?
Director Biermeyer.
Here.
Director Michael Mulder.
Here.
Director Zuzek.
Okay. Here.
Vice Chair Dressley.
Here.
Chair Tate.
Here.
Director Bruns.
Here.
And Director Milner here.
Thank you. Now I'd like to ask all of those who are able to please stand and remove your headwear for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I would like to make a motion actually to amend the agenda as
Okay,
written.
go ahead.
I'd like to, number one, announce the names of our selected student reps for our school board after our student reports in the agenda, and then also add an individual action item approving the addition of our 2 appointed student school board reps.
Sounds good. All right, could I get a second, please?
Seconded, Dressley.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the agenda with the noted amendments, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously to approve the agenda with the adjustments. Now I'd like to take a moment to recognize our visitors in the room. Thank you for being engaged in Hastings Public Schools. Also appreciate those who are watching online currently and in the future. I do need to ask that everyone in the room remain respectful, and if you have to take a phone call or have a conversation, ask that you step out of the room this evening. All right, first up, we have our Raider Spotlight.
All right, and we have a lot of recognition tonight. So first off, I'm just really pleased to recognize our Polar Plunge. So any of our teachers who are here, any of our participants, if you could please come forward. Maybe pull up a couple of chairs, and if you can just give us a little background about the inaugural Polar Plunge and the event itself, and what maybe you have plans for next year. You just have to push the button.
Amanda Wilson. I'm one of the special education teachers at Hastings High School, the transition program, STARS. Serena and I had conversations last year about starting or doing the Polar Plunge and starting Raider Buddies. It didn't come to fruition last year, and with planning and everything. And so this year we added Sarah Stenger to our team, and we got it off the ground and got it going. The Polar Plunge is in support of Special Olympics Minnesota. And so we started Raider Buddies at Hastings High School and doing Special Olympics and Best Buddies in a combination because they're 2 sister organizations founded by the same family members, by the Kennedy brothers. And so we started that at Hastings High School to help with facilitating inclusion in our school. And since we also have a Hastings Sharks organization here in Hastings, they are helping support our mission at the high school as well. I don't know, Sarah, do you want to add anything?
We're very, very proud of how well the event went this year. We're looking forward to doing it again next year and making it an annual event at the high school and eventually incorporate more of the Hastings community and participating in maybe other schools and businesses in the area too. So.
Serenity, you want to say anything? So we have Serenity here. She is a freshman this year at Hastings High School. And do you want to talk about your involvement?
So I doing chokes and I did the Polar Plunge and
Do you know how much you raised? How much did you fundraise? What did you do to fundraise?
bracelets.
She made bracelets.
Bracelets to raise money, but
Do you remember how much you raised?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Did you plunge twice?
No. Only
Just
once.
We had another student that plunged a couple of times.
And Hastings Community TV also did a little show about it. So if you are interested, you can go back to, it's on social media as well. So thank you. Okay.
Some questions. Board members, any questions?
So was that Lake Rebecca?
Well, we did, so the.
Oh, wait, it was up at the high school.
Yep, so it was
Into the tank.
like a dunk tank. Yep.
Okay.
So Special Olympics Minnesota has 2 dunk tanks that they bring to different high schools and colleges in Minnesota. So they do like a mobile plunge with, I think there was like 40 some high schools in Minnesota that did it this year, with addition to like Bethel University, St. Thomas. I don't remember I think there was like 4 other colleges that did it also to raise money for Special Olympics and their programs at their schools. So
Was it a chilly day?
it was 40.
Okay, that's chilly. That's chilly jumping in
It
the
was
water.
40.
I will jump in.
Go ahead.
I wasn't going to jump in because I said I was a little nervous, but I did want to say that I was really, really proud of our high school team. We went from kind of creeped up on $3,000 and I was really proud to say that at our staff meeting on a Wednesday afternoon, and by the plunge on Friday, we had reached just a few dollars under 9,000. So in 2 days, our high schoolers came together for 9,000.
And the funds raised, 30% of it goes back to not just our program at the high school, but also like there's middle school programs that's starting as well with the Raider Buddies, with doing the Special Olympics and Best Buddies kind of together at our schools. And I think one of our elementary schools is also kind of starting too, to kind of more do like kindness and friendship piece of it. But yeah, and so our first year last year, I think we had 12 students maybe, and now we have 47 involved, so in the club, so it's pretty cool to see.
Nice job. Nice job.
Any other questions?
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, just really quick. So up on the screen, you can see some pictures from that day, fully dressed in costume and plunging in. And truth be told, I was shivering watching, and to watch you in the water with your unbelievable grace and patience with some of the students who maybe were not quite as eager to jump as others. And you sat in the water for an unbelievable time, and it just warmed my heart to see all that you do. So know that we're grateful and thankful for all of your work, and we have a small token for you today.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have our High School Innovation Awards. So we have Scott Doran, Mindy Tavernier, and Chris Moore to talk about this award. Come up and congrats.
Well, thank you. Scott is not able to be here. He's got a wedding in Colorado that he's going to, so we're here on his behalf and our behalf as well. We received the Star of Innovation Award for MASSP for our Raider Connect program. The program started 4 or 5 years ago as we were coming back from COVID. The teachers and the school saw that students, specifically ninth graders, are having a hard time transitioning back to in-person, and they wanted to help students find success in school and reduce the number of failures and reduce the behaviors as well. So they started our Raider Connect program, where students would stay at the end of the school day and get some help from teachers and ask questions, some homework time, and get their grades up. Last summer, we were meeting with a group of teachers, our site leadership team, and we realized that we wanted to bring this to a bigger scale and have all students find the success and get help with that. So We opened it up and used our Infinite Campus system to allow students and teachers to put sessions out there for kids to sign up for those sessions, meet with those teachers, get the help they need, ask the questions that they need that they may just not have time for in class. So they were able to do that. We've been able to provide just a wealth of opportunities for students. Mindy's going to talk a little bit about those. With our sessions, we also looked at, do we want one large 90-minute session or do we want to offer more help for students? And through that discussion, we broke it up into 2 sessions, about 45 minutes each. So there's plenty of time for students to meet with a couple of teachers and get back on track that way.
Yeah, and basically what that is we stop our regular courses for our day. So we do 2 days of block scheduling. So that opens up that 90-minute, the 2 sessions. And that's where students can go. Number one, they have the block time to do more creative things in their regular hours or go deeper or provide time there, but then also this extra 90-minute where they can go to any teacher that's needed. So teachers and students kind of pick who, like teachers will pick kids that they need to meet with, students can pick who they need to meet with. So either way, all through Infinite Campus. It's like a mini master scheduling, right, each session for this. The other opportunities we've allowed with this is we have students that are doing really well. So do they need to go to these classrooms or could we offer some other opportunities? So some of the other things are, we've had career panels in, we've had college presentations, how to apply, how to fill out a FAFSA. Lately, we've been doing the preparing for, actually tomorrow, we're gonna do preparing for finals. So they kind of group by subject matter, or we do study strategies. We're always looking for new ideas. Ever since then, we've kept it school-wide. And then we're really looking at our data and seeing just a lot more of our success. So a lot less failures in our classes. Yeah.
I just think it's such a great look at universal design, whereas you target how to improve the experience for others, you actually have this unintended positive consequence because you can differentiate that need and really expand opportunities. So kudos to that. Not a gotcha question, this part. Is there any way to measure or know thy impact where you can say, gosh, we started this and here are the numbers that bear out our impact?
Yeah, so we did some comparison over the last 4 years when it started and really looked at total failure. So we broke it down by courses taken, percentage of courses failed, and we've decreased the number of courses failed by half. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you. And congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Okay, we have our Rotary Students of the Month. Remember, our Rotary students we recognize twice a year. So tonight we are recognizing Gavin Hansen, Julia Roddy, Ollie Pfeiffer, and Audrey McNamara. So please come on up. And if you'll give us just a little overview and allow our students a moment.
My name is Abby Myers. I am here on behalf of the Rotary Club, and I get the privilege of working with our Student of the Month program. So for those who don't know, this program awards 8 $250 awards to seniors who have shown exemplary roles that we also respect within the Rotary Club. So the criteria that gets them nominated by their staff and teachers at the school are, excuse me, they should demonstrate some or all of the following attributes. They get involved in various schools or other service-related groups. They take a leadership role among their peers, diligently work to ensure success for themselves and others, and they exemplify the Rotary 4-way test, which is of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? So these students, I will let them speak a little more to each of their own involvement within the school, but this is by far the most favored meeting of the month, and we just love being able to celebrate them and honor them. So I will let them give their intros and tell you a little bit about themselves and plans for next year.
Hi, my name is Audrey McNamara. Next year I'm going to the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire for psychology and music to be a music therapist.
I'm Julia Roddy, and next year my plans, I'm going to go to the University of Iowa for speech and hearing science.
I'm Gavin Hansen, and next year I'm going to UW La Crosse, where I'm going to study mathematics.
Any questions? Questions first? Most board members have had an opportunity to attend, and I always say just what a shining, like we are so proud of you and how you represent our school and serve as a role model for others. So thank you. We have a Raider Spotlight for you tonight and are, again, just so proud of your accomplishments and look forward to your future accomplishments as well. Great. All right, last tonight we have something, well, two we have left. Something we've been talking about for a while, it feels like, was the idea of a construction project at our Tilden site for our Cycling Without Age project to house the Trishaws, and a lot of conversations about could we, and so talking about what could be and now what is. And so only because of a number of people coming together for a cause and really in support of our community, this program happens. So I just really wanted to take time to recognize tonight Mr. Dietz, our classroom teacher, and Mr. Speedling, who came with all of his expertise. Mr. Carlson, who really, I think, had the vision of what could be as well, and then our students who participated. So if you can come forward, we just really want to celebrate your work.
Well, thank you for having us. It's been a great project, a lot involved for sure. And I think also it has to be recognized that Dr. Champo is a big part of making this project work really well. So this was a really cool experience for students. They got to have the hands-on, the building, the actual real life experiences that in many cases they haven't had before. And I would say a lot of parents have said how great this is. And I know this isn't something that would show up on a standardized test or something, but what a great opportunity for kids, and it's really been fantastic for them. And like you mentioned, Jeff Carlson, kind of the brains of the ideas of this. Greg Stockho, who's not here tonight, was a big part of that as well. He's very, very involved. He's a great asset to our community. And then Doug, who never questioned anything. His response was, "What can I do? How can I make this a success?" He's been in the class a bunch of times, donating his time. He brought even some employees with occasionally to help us with the project, equipment, materials. I just dropped off a whole trailer load of tools at his house last week that he basically said, take this and use what you need. And then the real stars are the students. We have 3 here tonight. There are about 28 total. I've come to realize high school students are very, very busy after school. So I'm glad we have these 3 here though. So it was a good experience for them, for sure. Doug?
I thought I'd take the time to come here and yeah, it was nice what Jeff did, but working with Eric was, in the years of construction and finding people with know-how and patience, Eric is in the right spot here. If he wasn't, he'd be over at my place because I'd be recruiting. He is excellent at what he does. And to take the kids out there, I love when I get out of the office and could put my nail bag on. I was just talking to this young lady here, asked her where she's going to school next year. She said, well, I'm just a sophomore. She's the one that laid out the plates, all the X's and O's and where the lumber went. And I gave her a task, and she went to work on it and focused, didn't talk to the other kids. I seen so many examples of that. When Eric said he wanted to roof it, I said, Eric, these kids will never roof. But what they did get a chance to do was go up and down the ladder, to carry the material up and down the ladder and use the tools. You were right about that. And they dug in and they did the roofing, you know? It was I know it. It seemed like it was. It started out kind of slow, but then they kept digging in like they knew their nails and their nail bags and their hammers. And yeah, it was cool. Should build a house next year.
All right. I won't have any hair left, but that'll be okay.
I don't have any either.
See, there you go. Perfect.
You have the right person with Eric.
Well, that's very kind.
Go do that.
So a couple things. I remember when I don't want to say I came up with the idea, but I try to be a connector, and I put a couple things together. And I don't know. I think Eric's eyes at first were really pretty large, and how can we do this? But I want to emphasize what a great overall community event this was. So first of all, I don't think it was mentioned, but this is kind of a Rotary project for our Cycling Without Age program. So we have our 7th Trishaw ordered that will be here. And if you see the Trishaws around the community, this will be the new home to store many of them. And that we'll probably give somewhere between 800 and 1,000 rides to mostly seniors throughout the community. And Park Ridge allows us to store some, and that's great. Now we have different ends of town to store them. So, you know, that kind of is the end result of really trying to do some things for the community. But I also I really want to emphasize the community like Doug just really pitching in. And there's a lot more, and I just want to briefly mention, you know, some of them. Yes, Greg Stocko, he's kind of a architect by heart, and he did all the drawings and so forth, and he was just awesome in doing that. Precision Landscaping has donated all the material and labor for the excavation landscaping, about a $7,500 value. Franderup Concrete and Masonry provided a $2,500 discount off of the cement work. Shaw Stewart Lumber provided a discount of $5,000 on much of the lumber, roofing, insulation. Doug, this couldn't have happened without you and all that you've done with the time, the labor, and you know, the expertise and bringing your people in and connecting. And I think pizza one day too, maybe more. I'm not sure. Ace Hardware is donating the paint. We still are looking for painters for tomorrow afternoon. Daily Electric and Van Miller donated all the material and labor to do all of the electrical, $4,500 value. The Community Investment Fund through the city has provided $12,000. The Ruth and George Stoffing Charitable Fund provided $10,000 for that. And there are many more things as well. And so just kind of connecting the community with the school and the vision of Tammy of having these career-oriented programs, I think is just absolutely wonderful. And it'll get put to very good use.
On behalf of the school district, we're just so proud and thankful. So thank you. Students, in one word, what was your favorite part of the project?
One word.
Siding.
Siding?
Roofing.
Roofing?
Yeah.
And? Oh, excellent. One of each.
I should
That's
say
fantastic.
also that, you know, Greg Stotko was always on the details and the scheduling and more details. And then we'd send him pictures with these challenges and stuff. And the electrician had to go back and change a few things. And he wanted to make sure it got done right. So all his time and effort with all the challenge he's got really helped bring it together. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you. We have a Raider Spotlight for you. So thank you again. All right, our last Raider Spotlight tonight are our Dauphin grants. So if I can have Diane and Fareed Syed and Jeff Carlson come forward, please. Maybe. So bring up another chair. Yeah, thank you. So every year, the Dauphin Foundation has grants available. And so we have a number of applications, and those are, and we're just so grateful for that. And I know this board is very well aware of the excitement at the MSBA conference when we saw the anatomage table. Okay, and I still shouldn't even be talking about it, obviously. But anyway, it was just cutting edge technology that would allow our students to have opportunities that most don't have. In fact, when we were online talking to the salesperson, tell me the high schools in Minnesota that have them. Well, Minnetonka's looking at them. Otherwise, it's the U of M, it's the colleges. And so when we talked about that and the expense, just the response, and yes, we want to make this happen. So incredibly grateful for all of the Dauphin grants, and if you would just speak to that.
First of all, I try to go to great lengths that the real name is the Ruth and George Dauphin Charitable Fund. A lot of people do call it the Dauphin Foundation, but I have said maybe we haven't done the best job over the years of really touting what Ruth has done for the school and for this community. But she was one that didn't want a lot of notoriety, but I think a lot is due. Actually, on the 23rd of May, 2003 was her date of passing, so 22 years. Just to the community of Hastings, we're approaching $5 million that she has given to the community, and of that, almost $2 million to the school. Now, we know and understand that this money is not designed to go towards the school budget or regular things, and Ruth was also very interested in what I call reading, writing, and arithmetic. A lot of things about learning, and she would be very proud of the fact of being very innovative. I remember, I think we purchased the second smart board ever for the school, McCullough first grade, back in the early years, and the amount of technology and things. And we get a lot of grant requests, and I want to emphasize that I'm not saying that some of those are not needed, but the parameters that have been put in place for what she wanted to fund is very specific, within reason. And I think this anatomage table, and I'm a very competitive person. I love the aspect that Hastings will be the only high school in the state of Minnesota to have one, and they will be the first. And as we talked with Tammy, you know, to be able to tout things like that to attract more people as to why they want to live and raise families in Hastings, I think is incredible. We also had the opportunity, the three of us, along with my wife Stacy, to present some scholarships yesterday, 17 scholarships totaling a little over $35,000, and some great students. It's our favorite morning of the year when we get to do that, so we got to do that yesterday, and there are many other things that we were able to fund this year for the school. Because of the larger amount for the anatomage table, I think it was well in excess of $100,000 just this, well, it's probably closer to $140,000, $150,000 this year.
That's it. You want to say something?
I can.
Go ahead.
I got done speaking yesterday when we gave out the scholarships, and this one young man came up to me and he said, "You are really a good speech person." I said, "I've had 40 years experience." But I want to second the motion for what Ruth wanted us to do. And she was like a family member to both of our families. And if she wasn't at Jeff's for Christmas and Easter and her birthday, she was at our house. And she usually was at our house every Saturday for breakfast. And she never went in the front door. She always came around the back to make sure we hadn't changed anything in the backyard. She was an amazing woman. She was an inspiration to me because she was well educated and she was very well traveled. And she was able to be, she advised so many people in her lifetime because that's the way she was. Well, if you don't know about this, I can tell you about this, and she would. And then she'd question you a couple weeks later to see if you remembered it. So she followed through, and that's kind of what I think of us as doing. We're following through with what she would have liked to have done. And granted, she did not want any publicity for this. She didn't even want a memorial service, but Jeff and I vetoed that after her death and did it anyway. But she was a remarkable woman. And if we can inspire students to get that love of learning, that's our goal. And with that new equipment, you should have seen the eyes of the students yesterday when they saw what that could do. It was just, they wanted to stay. They didn't want to go.
My wife of 56 years told me that I have to say that I'm a legal immigrant. But I can tell you something, Ruth, she was a remarkable lady, and every time Diane went out of town to visit her mom in Marshall, Minnesota, Ruth was my hot date.
Yeah.
So I could tell you stories about her, I won't, but she was really a great lady, and I am delighted to be part of this group and delighted to see Hastings doing so well, because future of the country starts from here. And this is a promised land, and we have to make sure the kids know that. We have to make sure that they maintain that and make it better for their children. So, legal. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I thank you so much. First of all, for that background on Ruth, that's pretty interesting. But at the MSBA conference, I grabbed one of their business cards and I stuck it in the front of my bag. So every time I opened my bag, I had top of mind, because this is one of the things that I really, really, really thought was so cool. And I thought it's just going to change lives. So thank you guys so much for making that happen.
Sorry. I think we need billboards from St. Paul to Hastings or Minneapolis to Hastings saying, look what Hastings High School has for your students. We need to advertise.
All right, a lot of great folks that we got to meet tonight. And for those who don't know what an anatomage table is, anatomage table, we'll get it. Yeah, right. What that is, it's really, really cool. A bunch of us saw it at the MSBA table. It basically, it's kind of a computerized cadaver for students to look at. Wow. It's really cool. Yeah, so there it is. You can kind of see what it looks like and everything. Very cool. Anyway, moving on, we have our public comment session next. We have 2 speakers tonight who will be recognized and allotted 3 minutes of time. We have a 30-second sign to alert you to the time remaining, as well as a timer to signal the end of your time. We ask that speakers state their name for the record and refrain from using this time to criticize or complain about any specific employee by name. Please be aware that the school board is interested in hearing comments from the public and will listen carefully, but is not obligated to respond or debate in this setting. We request that speakers be respectful. Any comments by others may be ruled out of orders, and those not abiding by that may potentially be asked to leave. So up first, we have, and I apologize if I say this wrong, Ms. Jamay Figgy. I got it right? Very good. Awesome. Welcome.
Okay, so most of the students just know me as Mrs. Figgy. I'm a substitute teacher, and I have been for 8 years. I've subbed in Hastings, Red Wing, St. Paul, Woodbury, Inver Grove Heights, Seas, St. John's. But I don't pretend to be an expert. I do care very much about the Hastings School District. My 2 children graduated from here, did great, got a great education. But I have seen something over the years I've been subbing that's really troubled me. And this may be my last year, because I just got hired by St. John's to do a full long-term sub next year. And I'm not here to criticize, I'm here to really encourage this board. All the resources that we have, that we provide our students are great. But our most valuable resource are the human beings that interact with the students every day. And the things I've been seeing with the increased class size, the reduction of some staff, which makes the load on teachers greater, has been really disappointing and disturbing. I don't listen to a lot of complaints from teachers, but I do hear them talk about them being overwhelmed and trying to reach students and how to fit in, making a real impact on one class after another with over 30 students. And as being a sub that just kind of comes in and out of classes, I know how meaningful it is to have an interaction with a student and be able to like suddenly have a light bulb go on because some hole has been missed. But because I had the time and opportunity to be there and help them with something in multiplication or phonics or something that is foundational that will help them continue. And I'm not naive to your budget needs, and I'm not naive to the raising cost of everything. But I'm here to challenge you guys to maybe start thinking outside the box and finding some creative ways that this community might be able to meet this great need for more humans in the building interacting with students. This community has many talented people that might want to volunteer. They might get some added training that they could come in and be sort of a para. But just having one other adult in some of these classrooms can make a huge difference, not only on the pressure on the main teacher, but on a student that might be really struggling that teacher can't get to. So the great thing they were talking about, the grants and stuff, I don't know if any of those things could be applied, but the biggest message I just would like to share with you guys is that you have an opportunity to have a big impact on this district by taking a look. I don't know how many of you ever remember a television show called Undercover Boss. I would encourage some of you guys to maybe go in undercover, not as school board member, and be a janitor, be a sub, go in there, really interact with what's going on and see if it might have some effect on some decisions you might make. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And next up, we have Ms. Hedin. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Hedin. I'm a former school board member, a resident of Denmark Township, and I have 2 children who both graduated from Hastings High School. That is really serendipitous. I had not spoken to Ms. Figgy about what she was going to say, but I came in tonight to challenge you and express my disappointment that the strategic plan is getting pushed out. You've done multiple community engagement pieces. You did the survey. You've done in-person pieces. We've used AI to condense near infinite numbers of comments into a really strong strategic plan and with a good base. And when you look at what's happened tonight already with a little bit of discussion about academic achievement, but really strong pieces recognized by the district about inclusion and equity and belonging, and recognizing the value for students to have those pieces in there. I think differentiating those into the two pillars as it currently is in the draft is super strong. You guys were asked back in April if you had any editing comments, and I don't believe they were provided. I didn't see anything different in the most recent draft that was distributed at the last work session. I just feel like it would be a really strong piece to hand to the next superintendent. And when I think about it, the conversations that I've been having, because I do work in the schools and I do sub in multiple positions, is everybody wants students to be academically successful, and it's not just the school's responsibility. So how can we partner? How can we engage? How can we say to youth programs, whether they be in churches or 4-H or youth athletics outside of the school system, you have a responsibility to ensure that your kiddos prioritize academics. How do you engage that in their outside activities? How do you make this a whole community project? And that's a really strong piece of what I just heard Mrs. Figge say. It doesn't have to be in the building. So let's think about something that looks like a contract with parents, not just I'm going to read 20 minutes with my kindergarten student, and then that sort of fades away over time as your students age. What would we contractually ask parents and guardians and the adults that students live with to do with their time to support academic results? And then how can the building be inclusive and belonging? And the first step to that is, let's fix this strategic plan. Dr. Champa asked a number of months ago and said this would be a strong piece that she would like to see before she left. And given all the positive things that you said, and just her positive person, I think recognizing that, acknowledging it, and making a commitment to her to bring this to a conclusion piece, it can be revisited and will be revisited again in a couple of years. Let's get that strong foundation. Let's find a way to build a whole community support around the whole student. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarification's sake, we are planning on wordsmithing our strategic plan at our next board work session, which I believe is June 18th. So that is on the schedule. All right, so next up we have our reports and discussions. First up is our superintendent report.
And I will keep this brief, looking at time. So a couple of things. Just wanted to shout out to all of those who donated to scholarships. So our scholarship night with the Charitable Foundation gave $277,400, $277,400, which I think is just amazing and outstanding. I was having a conversation with the director earlier today and said, boy, I think that dollar amount was not close to that several years ago. So just a huge thanks to all of those who committed to that and provided that. And then also just a reminder, May 30th is our last senior day. Graduation is June 6th. So looking forward to all of those events. And then just a quick comment about gymnastics. So one of the things that we've been talking about is a solution to gymnastics, knowing that they have been in this building and it is definitely a temporary situation. However, to do it right, it just needs additional time. So I just wanted to make sure that I spoke to that, also communicating that with Mr. Hansen and our Phi-Ed staff here in this building, so there's no surprises. Any questions?
Sorry, for gymnastics, just additional time to come up with what the solution is, or where are they right now?
So we had a steel and post building solution as one. And so over time, though, it's like, well, if that's going to be a solution, then we should also make it available for X, Y, and Z. And so really making sure that all of those elements are addressed. All right, next up we have cadence. And so you're used to seeing this. This is collectively how our leadership staff are doing in the 3 aims of the strategic plan. And it's moving all over right now. So engaged learners, effective operations, and communication and collaboration. So that's all of our leadership staff reporting on each of those areas monthly. And then we ask that one director or principal speaks to one of their specific goals and why they chose it. So tonight we have Ms. Director Williams.
Hello. So the goal I selected to talk about tonight is under the strategic anchor of engaged learners. And the goal was provide students and staff with technology, equipment, and resources needed to support student learning. So this goal was actually not new this year. It was a goal last year as well, but I opted to keep it on there just because it's such a big part of what we do every day in technology. So I wanted to keep it on there. And then what I wanted to kind of highlight tonight is some of the projects that we did throughout the year within that goal. So the first one I wanted to mention was the replacement of classroom displays. So we had smart boards in all of the classrooms that now are 10 to 15 years old. And we just this year are really at the tail end of the project to replace those displays in all of our classrooms. So that project started in the summer of 2022 at the middle school. The following summer, we did elementary and the high school. And then this year, we've just been finishing up at Tilden and kind of circling back to any rooms that were missed in that first round. We installed one this year up in the lecture hall at the high school. We just have ordered the 3 for the new STEM elementary classrooms for next year. So those have already arrived for next year. But really now we've got those in all classrooms, including Tilden and then all of the K through 12 classrooms. The other thing that we've been working on, we have a replacement cycle on staff devices. Typically, it's a 5-year cycle. So this spring, we've been working on teacher laptop replacements. So we've done elementary teacher laptops this spring. We're doing the high school laptops this summer, and then we'll be following up with middle school teachers. And then the other one is student device replacements. This is a typical project that we do every year. So typically our middle school students get a new Chromebook when they enter 5th grade that they keep through middle school, and students get one in 9th grade when they enter high school that they keep through high school. So at the end of this year, we'll be collecting devices from 8th graders and 12th graders that are leaving. Those have pretty much reached end of life, but we do collect all of those because we're able to use parts from those. Those screens are often used for other devices, so we collect all of those. We'll repurpose them mostly for parts. And then we've already ordered and received the devices that will roll out to the new students in the fall. So a lot of that ordering is done in the spring so that we can prep devices in the summer, and then we're ready to roll those out in the fall. iPad replacements for the elementary students, those are typically on a 5-year cycle. And right now we do have some that are 5 or more years old, but even though the 5 years is our typical cycle, we're finding we're able to get a little bit more life out of those. So this summer we're not replacing a cycle of those, and instead we've decided to focus kind of more on those staff replacements. We had a larger number that needed to be replaced this year because we had bought all of the teachers had received the new laptops in the summer of 2020 through some ESSER funds that we had received during COVID. So some of them are off cycle a little bit, but even though we've got somewhat set cycles, we just vary those if we're able to. We're doing a computer lab replacement this year at the middle school in Mark Sitterhouse's tech classroom. So really our focus on all of these this year has been a lot on student and staff device replacements. We didn't have any major infrastructure projects this year. The only project a little bit related to that was our internet service was up for renewal this year. So we did go out for bid for that this winter. We received 4 different bids, and we ended up sticking with Arvig, which is our current provider. They had the best rates, and it's really beneficial if we can stick with the one. We've been happy with them. So we did a 3-year renewal with them, and then we have an option on there to add on 2 additional 12-month renewals if we want to. And there's also an option in it to increase bandwidth at any time. So if we decide it's not meeting our needs, we can increase bandwidth through them. I think those are kind of the main things. I can take questions. The other one thing I did want to mention too is last year, I know we talked a lot about cybersecurity, and that was a goal last year. I did have a goal this year, again, related to cybersecurity. Again, it's probably one that I would have every year. And if you're interested in any updates on that, typically we've done those in closed work sessions before. So I just wanted to mention, if you did want me back at a work session, closed work session, to talk more about updates with that, I'd be happy to do that. So, any questions? Yep.
Director Williams, some of your budgets have carryover capacity and some don't, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Does that help you when, like, we can get a little bit more time out of those elementary devices? It might be carryover money that pays for it, or is that not one that would allow us to do that?
Sometimes that could be the case. In other cases, I think we just sort of flip-flop.
Sure.
So like this year, for example, on our staff devices, basically our cycle is that we'll do a 5-year cycle. So every year we'll replace 20% of the staff devices. Sure. But in the case of this year, because all of our laptops for teachers were purchased the same year, doing them at only 20% a year would extend the life of some of them for too long. So in some cases, we just sort of flip around based on need. So this would be an instance where we opted to do more staff devices this year. And then, maybe next year it could be flip-flopped and it could be more iPads, depending on what the need is.
I'm not at all surprised to hear a thoughtful answer. So thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to recognize you for all of your dedication to Hastings Public Schools. This is your last year with us, so just thank you for everything. When I was a teacher, you were amazingly supportive and helpful, so I just appreciate that.
Yeah.
And even your current capacity.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations on your upcoming retirement.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we have our Student School Board Representative updates. So this evening, we are beginning with Representative Suarez Garcia.
Hello, I'm Student Representative Suarez Garcia for McCullough. McCullough PTC has been actively supporting our school community with exciting initiatives as we near the end of the year. A limited number of 2024-2025 yearbooks have been purchased for resale and are available for $15 each. There were also some amazing musical demonstrations this month. In addition, the PTC has been diligently planning a fun-filled school carnival, which will take place during the school day on Monday, June 2nd, promising a memorable celebration for all students as school comes to a close. And then there's just a photo for that. And then the other photo next to it's for the next part. And then as we scroll down for the ALC, as the year comes to a close, Hastings Alternative High School is celebrating several meaningful accomplishments. For the third year, Mr. Woggy's fourth period science class led a beautification project, this time edging the trees near the school sign, planting colorful annuals and refreshing mulch around established, I don't know how to say that. Perennials. Enhancing the entrance with teamwork and pride. Looking ahead to our bonus week, beginning June 2nd, we've planned guest speakers and hands-on learning activities to ensure a purposeful and engaging final 4 days for students not yet graduating. Our credit recovery programs have been highly successful, with nearly 200 credits earned by approximately 100 students, helping many stay on track. Meanwhile, Hastings Online Academy wraps up with over 60 full and part-time students completing the year, reflecting our continued commitment to flexible, supportive learning environments.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, next up we have Student Representative Steinke.
I'll go quick because Student Representative Suarez Garcia seems a little antsy. So
starting off with quite the bang, I hear that the 12-year-old baseball team for middle school is headed to state, and the 12U softball team won the Apple Valley Rally in the Valley Tournament 10-4. Additionally, the boys' 5th through 8th grade tennis team had their last practice this month on the 16th. For the arts department, there was a lot of concerts and activities. On the 2nd, there was an 8th grade band field trip. Later on the 13th was the 6th grade choir concert and the 5th grade choir concert. On the 15th was the 8th grade choir concert and the 7th grade choir concert. Yesterday was the 5th and 6th grade choir concerts, and tomorrow is 6th through 8th grade orchestra concert and the 5th grade orchestra concert on the same night. Finally, on the 29th, there will be a 7th and 8th grade band concert. How many times can I say the concert in a sentence? Okay. I can't forget about the continuation of the Hallways Hero Challenge. Just a reminder, this challenge encourages students to model the Raider Way in the hallways and receive slips which can be entered in to get prizes in return. 5th grade has met level 1 with their 522 slips. 6th and 8th grade both have 328 slips, and 8th grade has a whopping 84. Lastly, some other student events. The 6th graders in their base camp field trip with half of the 6th grade going on the 14th and the other half going on the 15th. On the 16th, there was a tug of war, and on the 19th was the last chess club meeting. Yesterday, the 7th graders went on a field trip to St. Paul Saints game, which sounds so fun. Today, the middle schoolers got to play trivia at lunch, and to end this off with some excitement, the treat trucks will be at the middle school on the 28th for 5th and 7th graders and on the 29th for 6th and 8th graders. And then just to end off my report, since it's our last meeting, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be a student representative on the board. I think your guys' efforts to make sure that the student body is heard and advocated for is amazing. So just thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Student Representative Banky.
All right, so this month at Pinecrest, as I spoke about last month, they hosted their fun run on May 1st, which from what I gathered was pretty fun. And then on June 5th, the annual Pinecrest Festival will wrap up the school year. Every elementary school has their own, just on different days. And then Teacher Appreciation Week was this month from May 5th to 9th. Shout out all you teachers. And then to show support for teachers, students were able to have a chalk night with chalk given by the PTA. And they definitely gave some really nice messages to staff around the school. And then at Kennedy, so Kennedy had their 3rd and 4th grade music performances May 9th, which I also spoke on last month. And then students were able to connect concepts they were learning in both STEM and wit and wisdom, and they built their own Statue of Liberty stands, which sounds very fun. And then students also got to go to the Works Museum, which I think many of us have been to as a field trip, and it's very, very fun. And then I know I'm not a senior, but yet again, we are very thankful for your commitment to the students. And I can speak on our behalf. We are very excited to work with you guys again next year.
Thank you. And finally, we have Student Representative Fresnaco.
All right, hello. Also, to begin this, I just realized I have your chair, Melissa. I did that. I was like, you can feel free to try it after. You swapped it? You like that better? This is comfy, so thank you. I was like, that worked so well. Well, perfect. Mine's pretty long, as it usually is, so I'm going to try to make it a little short. Me and Aiden have got to get to a choir concert in technically a minute, but that's okay. So for Hastings High School, to start off with sports, a quick little recap that boys and girls lacrosse, boys baseball, ultimate frisbee, boys and girls golf, and tennis have all been thriving this month. And tennis finished up their season about like a week or so ago. And for arts, it's been very busy, as long with like the middle school has been. So on May 2nd to the 4th, the cast of Your Good Man, Charlie Brown came and put on 3 wonderful shows at HHS. As a dancer / ensemble member myself, it was a great way to channel my inner child, and I think the audience felt that too. And last week, the band students all had their last band concert, and many choir students had a vocal recital in the choir room. And after this meeting, like I said, me and Aiden will be booking it to the high school because we are having our spring vocal concert where we sing many songs ranging from show tunes to rock and roll. We were both wearing our shirts. Yep, yellow and blue. And for academics, so our TV show, officially named The Bridge, came to an end. With a total of 22 episodes. You can find them on HCTV now, as they are being uploaded every day. And like highlighted before, Audrey McNamara was our Rotary Student of the Month, and so many congrats to her. She deserves it. And the Native graduation happened last week, and from the videos I saw, it seemed like a really incredible experience and just a great way to bind the community together. And another way to bind the community together was recently 2 HHS students put together the Suicide Prevention Walk a Mile in Someone's Shoes Walkathon in the gym, where many students got together after school to raise awareness for suicide. It was a great turnout, and I hope for students to continue to make this change and put in the effort for things just like this. Our college child psychology and development classes recently just had their own little preschools in their classrooms, and they had many preschool students come in, including like teacher students, and the students got to play games, teach them lessons, and overall have a ton of fun. Tilden, I think you've got some helpers over here that you could recruit. And this past Monday, the community and staff hosted the Senior Scholarship Night, giving over $240,000 to the class of 2025. And Tuesday morning, like mentioned before, the Dauphin Grant event happened, where $35,000 was gifted to 21 students, which included me and Victoria over here.
Congrats, you guys.
Thank you. This Hawaiian is getting us energized. These past 2 days, they've been giving out during advisory these academic achievement awards to students ranging in every department. And don't know why they're laughing. And yeah, so that's been really great and just a great way to end off the year personally. And so for future events for the high school, so this week is our last Raider Connect days of the year. So for tomorrow and Friday. And students are going to be using this time to prepare for finals. And seniors' last day is next Friday, May 30th, with many dress-up days, senior privileges, fun lunch opportunities, and final moments to spend with the community. Make sure to make it to graduation at Todd Field on June 6th. And now for Tilden. So their bike day was last week, where Officer Freeman shared safety tips about bike riding, and the kids brought their bikes and were able to ride them around the Tilden parking lot. This annual event is always a huge hit with the students over there. And the preschool classes end this Friday, May 23rd. So there have been a lot of end of the year celebrations happening, like all day classes had their graduation programs last week, and families came to hear them sing songs and go through preschool graduation. Each preschool class will be doing an end of the year celebration with their students, where some classes are going to the park, some are having events like on the playground, and other ones are doing mini programs in their own classrooms. Each class is celebrating their year in a special way, which I think is amazing. And finally, preschool students will be having curriculum training next week for our new creative curriculum that will be implemented next school year. A big thank you to the Teaching and Learning Department for supporting their implementation of the new curriculum. And finally, I also want to say thank you to everyone. I am deeply saddened that this is my last report, and I've loved every moment on the board and just going to every event. It was such a new and eye-opening experience, and really just showed me new opportunities in life. And yeah, I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate all the relationships. And yeah, I hope to see you guys soon around Hastings. Yeah, so thank you.
Go ahead, Director Runs.
I was told by a wise man that education is amazing in schools because it has a natural beginning and a natural end. September, the excitement of getting to know one another through processes, and then a natural close, and then a breath in the middle before it renews. So we really got to know all of you, but you're going to be back, so we're talking over here. But we really want to honor the work by you both. So Director Steinke, Director Rusnako, thank you so much for being pioneers really in this work. All 4 of you are inventing what this process is and just trying to improve it year over year. So thank you so much for all of your contributions, because this is a closing, this is a goodbye, but it's not a forever thing. And then shortly we'll get to introduce new members that will take that torch forward. But thank you so much for everything you've done for the work, really the students.
Yes. yes, thank you, students, for all of your hard work and for definitely being pioneers in this, because we didn't know what we were getting into. So thanks for taking it and running with it. We appreciate all your work. Yes.
I had one more question. Can me and student representative, I was going to superintendent, wrong one. Student Representative Stanky take our little name hats? Not the plastic parts, but the paper?
Yeah.
Okay, thank
For
you.
sure.
That'd be great at the grad parties.
Yes, there you go. Yes, and good luck at graduation. We will see you on stage, for sure. All right, so next up, we have our introduction of the student school board representatives for next year. Director Bruns.
Yeah, it was an application and interview process, and everyone wowed. But the two folks that we're going to bring forward presented the highest marks across all categories, and we want everyone who applied to continue their work in advocacy. But for these two folks, and I'm going to invite you up because you can speak to maybe why you want to get involved in those pieces. But the two new directors I have the luxury and privilege of introducing you to are directors Shyla Henson and Avery Durfee.
Oh gosh, this is intimidating. What do we say? Do we just introduce ourselves?
Introduce yourselves. You can start with favorite color if that feels like low lift. And then,
Perfect.
But why did you throw your name in the ring, and what do you hope to do over the next 365 days, or really in September once your term starts?
Well, my name is Avery, and my favorite color is red. But when I heard about the student school board representative opportunities, it just seemed like such a fun experience to be able to have, and a super good doorway that would open into many new experiences and opportunities that will further my education and the, I say opportunities a lot, but the opportunities that I'll have later in life and later with my education going forth through high school and into college. And it just seemed like a fun way to connect with the school board and see who's behind everything at Hastings High School, and see, what it's like really, and to get to know my school better.
Hi, I'm Shyla. I applied to be a school board representative because I really like the behind the scenes work of stuff. In YIG, we kind of do a lot of this stuff where we just sit down and talk and say how do we discuss stuff and how we can make stuff better for the majority of youth in government. And I really enjoy doing that. And I saw this and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I want to do that. I want to do something to make some change instead of just sitting there and being complaining and being and just not doing anything to change it. But if I come here and do stuff, I can actually put my voice out there and help students at my school, and I really like the opportunity of that. And yeah, and my favorite color changes every other week, so I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue what my favorite color is.
Great. Well, thank you and welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely.
So they are, pardon me, they are.
Yeah, go ahead, Director Suzak.
They are sworn in on.
September. In September.
In September. There we go. Thank you.
So we will be voting to accept you onto the board later this evening.
Oh boy.
But yes, your official first meeting is in September.
Thank you so much.
So thank you.
And go
Yeah.
Yes.
Really safe. Don't speed. Just. It's your choir concert. All right. And good luck. All right, next up, we have our Building Construction Fund project update from Ms. Subert.
Thank you. So the Building Construction Fund accounts for the money the district received from the voter-approved bonds that it was for school renovations and improvements. A couple updates since last month. So we did have an extra expense to a project that had been closed out. It was the middle school partial roof replacement. There was a billing error that was finally rectified, so that was $4,020 within that project. And then overall, we are currently sitting at $325,000 approximately. That's unallocated, but again, we do know we need to pay the arbitrage fees, and we'll be doing that soon. We have 5 open projects that we are working on closing out, but it just takes some time. So they are in process, and then there's 2 kind of miscellaneous funds, the radio replacement and flexible furniture, that we know there's some upcoming expenses for those. So overall, there's about $795,000 left in this account.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, moving along, we have our data request update from Ms. Moen.
Good evening. Since the last board meeting, we have had one new data request that has come in. We have a total of 5 pending, and there were no legal bills related to data requests for this month.
One question, were any of the new ones anonymous or not?
No.
Okay, all right. Any questions? Thank you. Next up, we're on to our board representative and committees reports. First up, we have District 917 with Director Zuzak.
In the interest of time, I'll just say that the notes are there, and you'll see again that it celebrates a lot of changes and actually celebrates the end of their careers of some really just extraordinary people under resignations that I was happy to work with for 3 years. So.
All right, any questions? Thank you. Next up, we have our AMSD update with Director Bruns.
Yeah, and what I'll do now is run you through some legislative updates, but knowing that it's May 21st, none of this is final. So I'll just run you through some quick proposals that may or may not be reality, and one of which is going to have some roots right at this table. But $40 million put into the READ Act and funding those components, $100 million added to the unemployment insurance pot for our hourly school workers, enhancements to teacher pensions, and then the ability to start school before Labor Day, but not before September 1st. And then to make sure I get the language perfect, in part of the Judiciary Finance Bill, allows a government entity to suspend its response to a public data request if, after 5 business days, the requester fails to inspect or retrieve the data that has been prepared. Started here. Yep. Good work.
That's awesome.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done, Carrie and Jessica.
Thank you.
Collaborative effort between districts.
Yes, it was collaborative with Rochester and Farmington as well. All right, thank you. Next up, we have our Facilities, Finance, and Joint Powers Committee update with, I skipped one, community collaboration first.
We have not met since our last meeting, so I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Next, Facilities, Finance, and Joint Powers with Director Zuzak.
Our most recent meeting was on Friday, and the 3 of us, Director Milner and Chair Tate and I, really served as a sample audience for Director Subert's presentation. And I know that we'll see a shortened presentation tonight, but it was really well done, and you have a lot to look forward to. It's interesting, we also have our next 2 meetings, one's in October, one's on December, and they're already on the calendar. So that was nice.
Absolutely. All right, any questions? Okay, moving on to the NAPAC Committee update with Director Bruns again.
Yeah, a lot has happened within that field of work over the last month, most notably that the Native graduate honoring ceremony took place, and it was again incredible. So last year was a great benchmark to have because it was also great. This one somehow exceeded expectations, so then that was really well done. We went through about 75 minutes of strategic plan work, so we worked as a committee of 21 that night, and that feedback has been collected and forwarded along. 2 points of discussion that came out that are either part of just thinking broadly as a school or good for the board table. But there was discussion about the Native American Education Liaison for the district serving as an instructor for a possible cultural class, but that's not allowable under AIEA finance. Just as a point of clarification from the chair. And then is there going to be a strategic collaboration between HMS and HHS to split FTE for that course, which maybe this is too early to be having that conversation, but more just a question to float out there as well.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Okay, next up, we've got our Student School Board Committee update, again with Director Bruns.
Well, I feel like it's already been cat's out of the bag on this, so we'll vote on the hard work. I think I have a prevailing idea of where the vote will go, so my fingers are crossed for you, Shyla. I hope it goes really well. But now we're going to move into that mentoring phase over the course of the summer. So I know that Director Dressley, co-chair, apologize, We'll be working with our seniors because there'll be a lot less of a heavy lift for onboarding than we'll be working with our newly appointed future juniors.
Yes, thank you. And next up, we have our policy committee update with Vice Chair Dressley.
So I'm just gonna go over what has changed since our last, since our work session, and it's not really much. I just want to mention that on policy 606.1, textbooks and instructional materials, responsibility of selection, that is being replaced with what is on our consent agenda as 606.1, curriculum development and review. It doesn't require any board action because it is an administrative procedure. So then for first readings, we got policy 425, staff development and mentoring. This one was recommended by the administration. It's an MSBA model policy with minor revisions to the language to reflect specific Hastings language. For instance, the advisory staff development committee is actually called the staff development committee in our district, so there were changes like that. Does anybody have any questions about 425? Okay. 602, organization of the school calendar and school day. We've already talked about that, but I will just point to section 5A. 1, 2, and 3 were added there to reflect what we had discussed at our work session. We have a third reading policy that had a slight change, 704, development and maintenance of inventory of fixed assets and fixed assets accounting system. The change was from 25,000 to 50,000 in reference to the group purchasing. We had made that decision, I believe it was at our organizational meeting in January, and so that was just updated to reflect that. There were no changes to any second reading policies. And then you'll see in the consent agenda, there's 3 procedures that all have to do with the 600 series of policies, which are our curriculum policies, and since they're all administrative procedures, they only require this one reading and then adoption. Any questions on any of that? All right, then that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our consent agenda. I am looking for a motion on this.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Michael Mulder, seconds.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously to approve the consent agenda. Now we are moving on to our individual action items. Sorry, I was having scrolling issues this evening. First up, we have the District 917 long-term facilities maintenance item. Could I get a motion on this, please?
I make a motion to approve the long-term facility maintenance agreement, the portion that is distributed to Hastings Public Schools.
Hey, can I get a second?
Michael Mulder, seconds.
Any discussion?
Is it a resolution? It's a resolution.
It is a resolution, sorry, yep. So, while waiving the reading, you want to amend your?
I recommend we waive the reading.
Thank you. All right, could I get a second on the amended motion, let's call it?
Michael Mulder seconds the amended motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. I'm sorry, did you have discussion?
Resolution.
Don't we need to do a roll call?
Oh, yeah, you're sorry, Rick.
So okay.
I am not on the ball, thank you. Yes, could you please do a roll call vote?
Director Biermeyer.
Aye.
Director Michael Mulder.
Aye.
Director Zuzek.
Aye.
Vice Chair Dressley.
Aye.
Chair Tate.
Aye.
Director Bruns.
Aye.
Director Milner. Aye.
Thank you. All right, next up we have the Minnesota State High School League resolution. Actually, I'm going to request that we have a discussion on this item first. For those who are not aware, there was a lawsuit that was filed this week against the Minnesota State High School League, against the Department of Education, against there were several parties that were named in the state, as well as a couple of school districts themselves, along with their boards. And it is ultimately due to the Minnesota State High School League allegedly not following and not abiding by Title IX rules regarding biological males participating in girls' sports. So this is brand new. I believe it was filed on Monday. I just found out about it yesterday and asked if we could have some additional information. Board members have some information in front of you. Can we read this for transparency's sake here? There was a conversation with Eric Martins who is the executive director for Minnesota State High School League. He said, quote, "The Minnesota State High School League, like member schools, are subject to lawsuits, but the question is, will they be liable? In this case, the Minnesota State High School League has operated in accordance with all state laws and the advice of the Attorney General. All sides of a situation could file a lawsuit. This is a unique situation with state and federal law in conflict," end quote. And then we have a quote from Trent Hansen from our high school. "Retaining Minnesota State High School membership is simply a must for us to remain in alignment with all of the conference, section, and region schools that we compete with and against across the state." So my concern, as was stated from Minnesota State High School League, is that we currently have a situation where the state and federal law are in conflict with one another. And we, as board members, took an oath of office to uphold all state and federal laws. And when they are in direct conflict with one another, that's pretty dang tough for us. So we are ultimately between a rock and a hard place right now. So my question is, when do we need to renew our membership?
You have through June 30th. So our term is July 1st through August.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You actually have August up through July.
August through July. So we have until July 31st to vote on this to renew.
Correct.
Okay. So what I would like to do, go ahead.
Request is June 30th, just so they have
Request.
that. But, yeah.
Okay. But we technically have until July 31st? Technically? No later than July 31st?
There it is.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. What I would like to request, just to see, one, I want to understand completely what our legal liability is, because ultimately, if we vote to participate in the Minnesota State High School League, we are voting to abide by all of their rules that they have set forth, which is admittedly right now in conflict with what's going on at the federal level. So I would just like to see how this lawsuit, like I said, brand new news, I would like to see how this lawsuit shakes out a little bit, since we do have some time to do it. I would like to request that we postpone the vote on this item until our July regular meeting, to get some understanding around our legal liability as a district, because they have sued. They've named Farmington in the lawsuit,
Anoka Hennepin
and Osseo at this point. And I've heard that they are trying to recruit others to join in this lawsuit. So, I don't want to put our names on a giant billboard right now.
Are you making a motion?
I can.
Okay.
I'd like, if anybody, further discussion, if anybody wants to chime in.
I second that. I think it's prudent to stall a little bit, that with all intention in the world to move forward with Minnesota State High School League. With the question about state and federal law, not complying right now, and with this open lawsuit, I think there's really high stakes, since the resolution itself, like Carrie said, specifically states that we sign on and basically vow to abide by all bylaws, policies. And I did look through the policies, I did look through the bylaws, and I do think that it would not be prudent to make this decision right now.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I would ask that because of the transition of superintendents, I think it'd be important that Mr. Hansen keep his eyes on this, and that we get a report scheduled for July.
Great idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
just because I want to know what's going on then.
Yep, absolutely. All right, go ahead, Director Brown.
As a component of that, do we want to explore what the ramifications would be should we leave MSHSL?
We certainly could. I have no intention of doing that. I don't want to risk our student involvement in the sport and in the sports, in the opportunities. I just want to understand the legal liability associated with this.
And that might be our intention, but we are talking about navigating one of two ways. So if one way is departure, understanding the ramifications of that particular direction.
I can comment a little bit on that too. I did look into I always say it wrong, MSHSL, to just kind of understand the articles, bylaws, the organizational structure as a nonprofit and who we are as a member and what we could potentially do with whatever ruling comes down. And I do think there can be grander discussion about options with all the intention of remaining within them. You know, we can pipe up a little bit as a member, you know, with other members to see what, you know, other communities are doing in response to this, because there's going to be a flood of other people who have, you know, similar concerns. They have the same, presumably they have the same oath of office as we do. So I think that there's other options than sticking with or pure departure. I think that, you know, if we can, you know, there's other options that we might be able to act on as members of the organization.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, with that, I'll make the motion. Oh, I need a calendar in front of me.
The
When is our
motion
July
would be
meeting?
probably to table action until July.
Yeah, is it July 23rd is our schedule? I'll just say, I move to postpone the vote on the Minnesota State High School League resolution and membership until our regular July meeting so that we can get a better understanding of legal liability with abiding by their rules and bylaws and everything.
I second that motion.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously to postpone the vote until the July regular meeting on Minnesota State High School League resolution and membership. All right. Next up, we have our MnDOT lease extension approval for the Todd Field parking lot. Looking for a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve the commercial lease for amendment number 1 on our agenda.
Milner, second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously to approve the lease. Next up, we have our 2025-26 adopted budget, and I will pitch it over to Director Subert for some information.
Sorry. All right, so tonight I'm going to go through kind of a brief version of this, but just know that the full budget packet is available on our website and in board book. So as we look at the changes from the previous budget, the first one is the student enrollment. So for 25-26, the enrollment will be at 4,275. Which is 89 less than what we had in 24-25. And then just know that once October 1 comes and we have actual students enrolled, we make the update and the projection at that point in time. As far as the revenue changes, the Gen Ed formula was the 2.74%. So that was an increase of $509,000. State special ed aid, we're increasing to $11,330,000. So that's an increase of $330,000. And I will say at this point, that is a conservative estimate. As new information becomes available, that will get updated. From our special ed federal dollars, we're required to participate in CEIS, or Coordinated Early Intervening Services. So there's $168,000 there, and you'll see that some of these are offset by expenditures. So we also have expenditures related to that program using some of our already current special ed dollars. As part of the budget adjustments, the parking fees have been moved from operating capital in the amount of $102,000, so that's an increase. And then the local collaborative time study, or LCTS, had some additional dollars that they were able to award to the Hastings School District in the amount of $62,000. Our levy and taxes are increasing by 15,000. Interest, we're decreasing by 200,000 based on current interest rates and the fact that we are spending some of our fund balance. And then grants, a decrease of 149,000. The non-exclusionary discipline grant is expiring, and our MTSS grant, the amount is changing slightly. And then special ed federal, decrease of 148, that's connected with that CEIS. The lease accounting change offset by expenditures, again, 78,000, just a change in accounting practice. And then our title programs, decreasing revenue of about 30,000, and again, will be offset in expenditures. The rent from Hastings cable or community TV, decrease of 9,000. And then maintenance reimbursements that we receive from Intermediate School District 917, a decrease of 9,000. And then prior year refunds, decrease of 5,000. So our total there is an increase of 557,000 approximately. And then as we look at the expenditure side, the biggest piece of it is going to be our payroll. So salary and benefit increases. Teacher FTE within that is at 283.51. And then all of our employee groups are settled with the exception of teachers and paraprofessionals. So that's an increase of approximately 1.8 million. And then our other expenditures in there, our English language learner costs are being moved to compensatory, which is a restricted funding source that allows for it. So our unassigned expenditures are decreasing by about 476,000. Some of these that I said already through the revenues, I'll just kind of skip over. But then we get to the web credit card processing fees. Again, that was part of the budget adjustments. So a decrease in expenses of 60,000. Our legal fees decreasing 25,000. All other miscellaneous programs decreasing about 14,000. And then we did have an audit entry in the prior budget that was for overspending at the time of the adopted. So that was 791,000. Again, kind of just skipping over the ones that are offset, but then transportation, an increase of 123,000. And keep in mind, kind of incorporated in there was a budget adjustment related to early childhood. Otherwise, that number would have been bigger. Safe schools, an increase of 105,000, and that's with the additional SRO for next year. The new paid leave tax has been accounted for. That goes into effect January 1, 80,000. And then the property and liability insurance, an increase of 43,000. And then an election budget increase of 10,800. So overall, our changes to the expenditure budget are 2.3 for a net change of 1.8 million. And then as we talk about already the revised budget for 25-26, the October 1 student enrollment projections will be updated. All of our staffing due to student numbers will be updated, employee contract settlements, and then any estimates or projections will be reviewed for more current information. The actual hire versus estimated salaries for open positions, and then any legislative changes that we'll find out about soon, and then any adjustments based on the audit for 2024-25. So from there, this slide is just a really high level. You can see our projected beginning fund balance by each category, but the total was 32.2 million, and our projected ending is 30.3, so a net decrease of 1.8 million. And then as we, just a reminder, so fund balance policy states that we'll have a minimum of 2 months or 16% of operating expenses. That would be 11.8 million. And our 25-26 projected ending unassigned fund balance is at 17.1 million or 24%. So we're in good shape there. As we look at the restricted accounts, this one might still be hard to read. I tried to make them bigger, but I'll just kind of highlight the ones that have a negative net budget. So staff development is a negative 100,000. And again, that was one of our budget adjustments where we're using some of the carryover dollars, and those carryover dollars will be reflected at the time of the revised. So you'll see them at that time. And then for operating capital, overspending by about 266,000, but that currently has a budget of 400,000 towards gymnastics. So we have that budget set aside once the decision is made what to do with that. Gifted and talented, overspending by about 66,000. And again, that was one of our budget adjustments where we were using some of that beginning fund balance. And then the last one is the basic skills, and we're really looking to utilize whatever we can through those dollars. It has specific uses that are allowable, so we're just using some of the beginning balance there. So committed accounts, within that one, again, there's a negative net budget, but the majority of that comes from that $250,000 transfer that the board approved from technology that moves into the elementary STEM. So then the assigned accounts, the ones with balances, you can see the site improvements. So we've got that 400,000 there earmarked towards gymnastics. The safety and security, there's some just safety related expenditures and training that are budgeted out of that one. The curriculum is related to some additional course offerings at the high school for college in the schools. And then the STEM for elementary, there's 3 new STEM teachers that a portion of their salaries being covered out of the assigned account. As far as the unassigned account, you can see we're overspending by approximately 908,000, and our ending fund balance is the 17.1 million. And then these next slides are just kind of graphical, but where we get our revenue from for the unassigned, 74% of it comes through state aid, and that equates to about 43.3 million of our overall budget of the unassigned general fund revenues of 58 million. And then our second largest revenue source is property taxes at 17.66%, or about 10.3 million. Our expenditures by object code, so our general fund unassigned expenditures are 58.9 million. The largest expenditure category is the salaries and wages at 52%, or approximately 31.2 million. And our second largest category is employee benefits at 24.76%, or approximately 14.7 million. And then if you combine the salaries and wages and the employee benefits, it's about 77% of our budget. We're definitely a people budget. And then the unassigned general fund expenditures by program, again, I kind of just combine all of the ones that are categories in the classroom, and that represents 80% of our expenditures. Enrollment, you can see our enrollment history here. We do continue to anticipate decreasing enrollment, but there is some declining enrollment revenue that's available to help offset that. It's 28% of the general ed formula. And then our referendum revenue, we have the expiring referendum that we've discussed. The last year of that revenue is in 27-28. So you can see the decline in 28-29. And that was the November of 2017 voter approved, and it's $773 plus inflation per adjusted pupil unit. It's currently at $987 per pupil unit, and it equates to about $4.2 million per year for the district. So that's going to be an upcoming decision for the board. And then as we just really quickly look at the other funds, the food service fund right now is showing an ending fund balance of $273,000 roughly, and we're accounting for free meals continuing. The 25-26 reimbursement rates are not yet available, so we're using a conservative estimate, and we're currently using the 24-25 participation rates. So that one will be updated for sure. The Community Service Fund has an ending fund balance of approximately $299,000. And with the Community Service Fund, programs and classes are continuously evaluated prior to being offered. So the staffing may be adjusted on that one. The Building Construction Fund right now shows a negative ending fund balance, and that's just because the beginning fund balance hasn't been brought in yet. So that will be done at the time of the revised once things are finalized. And we anticipate all those funds to be spent in 25-26. And then debt service, we have two outstanding issuances. There's a 2016A Build America bonds that goes through 2030, and then a 2018 capital appreciation bonds that goes through 2041. So this account reflects the principal and interest payments on those. And then the last one is the trust funds. So within here, we have Fund 18, which is the community ed pension and accumulated sick leave. The funds from that account have been exhausted and the account is closed, so that will be removed going forward. And then our self-insurance funds are in here, as well as our other post-employment benefits account. And that's the end, so I'm happy to take questions if there are any.
I'd be happy to make the motion to recommend approval of the budget as presented this evening.
Director Biermeyer seconds.
Any discussion? All right, thank you so much, Jen, for all of your work on this and presentation. Well done. All those in favor of approving the budget as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously with 6-0. We should note that Director Milner had to leave at 6:40 p.m. to also get to that choir concert. All right, next up we have our superintendent contract for 2025 through 2028 for Dr. Christine Warkamp Herman. I would like to start with just a little bit of discussion. I'd like to make just a couple of requests for updates for this contract. One is extremely minor. It's just that several spots, it still reflects either she/he or his/her type of language, where in a bunch of the contract it does say she and her. So I'd just like to change the language to reflect the she and her consistently through the contract. And then the other item that we need to actually discuss as a board is to update, oh, where is it? Do you have it highlighted? Page 7.
Under outside activities.
Yes, outside activities. Currently, the contract reads that if the superintendent gets outside employment, that it can be done with prior approval of the school board chairperson. I would like to change the language to reflect approval of the school board in its entirety. I firmly believe that we all have equal power and that there shouldn't be, that I feel like is a power thing to have the chair approve that without board approval.
I agree.
Okay, so those are my asks to change. Otherwise, I'm fine with all of the terms and everything in here. So, any other discussion?
I did see your comments and I missed you.
I can present.
A couple of them were really questions.
I just sent an email to Mark about a couple of things that I found just maybe could be tightened up more, but I presented them with the understanding that they might be, market items on the contract that I'm unfamiliar with. So I leave it to Mark's discretion as to what he I mean, what everybody finds ultimately, but I don't know how, if you want me to get into it or.
I can explain the one that is most, that's most complex. Sure. And on the bottom of page 3, under Article 6, Section 4, sick leave, beginning with the third sentence, it begins with, if the superintendent is unable to perform her regular duties because of personal illness or disability, she has exhausted all accumulated sick leave, and she has applied for and been granted long-term disability, the school district shall provide the superintendent additional paid sick leave, at the superintendent's regular daily rate of pay until the expiration waiting period for long-term disability benefits. And what that is you have to be separated from your employer because of either injury or illness for a considerable amount of time. And the superintendency is a little bit different because people come to it later in their career and they're leaving probably a number of sick leave days from the district that they're at. And so it's a really unique position, and it is, I think, quite a regular practice. And I know that Dr. Champa had it in her contract, and so we left it in there, and it wasn't asked by the employee.
Okay.
But
yeah, no, that's fine. I just, yeah, there was other conversation that made me confused as to, because I originally thought it was all the leaves kind of stacked up together would ultimately just lead to the amount for district. So it was just an additional that I just didn't know, but I don't see it as unreasonable.
You know, I think it works almost like a bridge insurance plan that is paid for by the district if a catastrophic illness or injury happened. Logic from a cognitive standpoint, that's the way that I understand it to be. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Good. Oh, and the background check did come back.
Yeah.
It was fine. So, good there. Box checked.
Not surprised.
Yeah. All right. Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion on this item.
I think it's appropriate that I recommend that the contract be approved as soon as it is, and as soon as this meeting's over, I would be contacting Dr. Werkamp-Herman to let her know either way.
And just clarifying, does the motion include the adjustments that I mentioned?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Approval of the contract with the adjustments mentioned. All right, could I get a second, please?
Michael Mulder seconds.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the superintendent's contract with the adjustments, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously to approve the contract. And then finally, we have to approve the appointment of our new student school board representatives. So looking for a motion on that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of 2 brand new student school board representatives, Shyla Henson and Avery Durfee.
Thank
Director Biermeyer seconds.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those approved, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. All right, welcome to our new student school board representatives. And welcome back to our previous 2 juniors. All right, and then our final item on the agenda this evening is discussing future meetings. We have on the 28th, 1 week from tonight, we have a closed meeting to discuss contract parameters. We have on June 5th, we have a policy committee meeting at 11 a.m. in the district office. And then our work session is June 18th, right here at 6 p.m. And as mentioned earlier in the evening, we are going to be focusing primarily on wordsmithing our strategic plan that evening. Then we have a joint powers meeting on June 20th at 7:30 a.m. if anyone wants to join us at Tilden. And then our regular board meeting for June is June 25th. I can quick look at what we have in there. we may very well have a lot of policies to approve at our June meeting because of the legislative session ending here. So we'll see how much the policy committee can crank through to get all that in and ready to go. We have the achievement and integration plan. We have, let's see here, sorry, hopefully a vision card report. And I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anything that you know at the top of your head? Literacy plan? Okay, literacy plan. And I think that's all I've got at this point. So more to come on a firm agenda that far out. All right. Anything else this evening? Okay, with that, I am looking for a motion to adjourn. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to mention that with the approval of the contract, that language will be updated in the board member handbook.
All right, thank you. Anything else? All right, with that, I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, heck yeah. A motion to adjourn, Mark Suzik.
Can I get a second?
Biermeyer seconds.
Any discussion? All right, with that, all those in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye. Does anybody have to get to the choir concert because we can clean up everything?
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes to adjourn at 6:51 PM.